He chose to use the name Chim, C-H-I-M, as a short form of the family name Shimon. And that stuck pretty strongly. And he was seen as a reflective, wise owl, maybe a chess player. He was careful and measured, but he was loved by the people around him.
Chim's aesthetics is in line with what's called in the history of photography the humanistic photography. Straightforward photographs, no distortion, no deformation, explain a situation as much as possible with a lot of empathy. After the Second World War, Chim was commissioned by the newly founded UNESCO to travel to Europe that had been affected and devastated by the Second World War and photograph the children's needs in those countries so that the UNESCO and their kind of new agency called UNICEF could then provide help and assistance to the children in need throughout Europe.
And he shot, I think it's 257 rolls of film, using his Leica, 36 images on a roll, and the Rolleiflex, larger negative with 12 images per roll. And so those became the basis for the legendary story that's told in this exhibit.
So Chim traveled for several months, took hundreds of photographs of children on the street, emphasizing the lack of food, the lack of education, the lack of resources, mental health crisis throughout. He became well known in the world of photojournalism at the time for his approach to civilians in war times, specifically photographing children. So that's really how it started, by producing photo reportages for the European press, magazines and newspapers alike.
This was the early 30s when it was a golden age for photo magazines. Visual culture was growing in a thriving and fascinating way, and he was captivated by it.
This exhibition is, I think, interesting for us as a photography museum because you really dig a little bit deeper into one project to kind of decipher it and understand it in a more detailed way. So having access to different types of objects, so prints, contact sheets, the book mock-up, the ephemera, the magazines, help you understand the story in a better way.
Those photographs were first shown in December 1948 in Life magazine that told the story of these orphans and the struggles that they were having. And unusual for the time, at the end of that article, there was a little box, you can see it in the vitrines here, that said, if you want to help, you can donate to these organizations. And it launched a big response. And for many commentators, this was a remarkable turn for photography. Photography had gone from being a photo to being a photo story, which Chim and some of his colleagues created, the notion of a photo story, to being a story with an action outcome, that there was a result of it, there were donations. That was different for that time. And so it was an important and influential set of pictures which became a book that was circulated widely, and many give it credit for generating U.S. support for the Marshall Plan to rebuild Europe, including to rebuild Germany.
There's a couple of prints that I think are key elements in this exhibition. One is the portrait of Tereska. She is a young kid in Poland who was asked to draw a home on a blackboard, and what you see is drawing that kind of reflects the trauma that she experienced probably as a kid.
Her troubled face as she looks at Chim's camera has a dual story for many viewers. It's a story of fear and anxiety, but it's also a story of trust and saying, I will tell you my story. I will let you take my picture. That photograph was in Life magazine, and it triggered a German philanthropist to found the Tereska Foundation, which was dedicated towards the orphans of war in Rwanda. And so we see how an image can change the world, how it affects people by its emotional content and by the story it tells.
Chim was also one of the founders of Magnum Photos. You see that in the 40s and 50s, that humanistic aesthetics tends to become the standard for photo reportage, and Chim and Magnum were instrumental in establishing those standards.
I hope that visitors to the exhibit will have at least 3 ways of looking at it. One, it's a piece of history. They should know what happened in World War II and its aftermath, and how children were affected so severely by this devastating war with so many tens of millions of deaths. Secondly, they should see the impact of a photo and understand that photos tell stories, and maybe they will change their own way of taking photographs. There's a lesson here for everyone who takes pictures, and today that's almost everybody. So there's ways that you can take pictures to communicate and be partner with your subjects. And third, it reminds us that there are people suffering today still, and that we have an obligation to help those who need our help most.